Hi everyone. Today we will going to look at what is conversational AI and how to build conversational AI means chatbots using the Amazon Lex. So conversational AI is a type of artificial intelligence application that enables customers or your consumers to interact with the computer applications which will act like other humans. So the one of the popular technology to build a conversational AI is called the Amazon Lex. So Amazon Lex is an AWS service which allows us to build the chatbots which uses internally natural language processing. So these chatbots are capable of understanding our intent. For example, let's say we have built chatbot for a pizza delivery or a pizza booking app or a hotel booking app, then it can understand what user wants to achieve, what is the user intent, and then can ask relevant questions and get those details and fulfill that intent. So today we will see how can we define those intents and some of the sample examples to the chatbot so that using those examples, the chatbot can understand the user intent. And the Amazon Lex, which is an AWS service, can be integrated with the other AWS services like AWS Lambda and a DynamoDB database. You can think of user can even interact with your chatbot using a messaging service like Twilio. So user can message the Twilio and then that message will forward to your chatbot. Then chatbot will integrate with the other AWS service like AWS Lambda where your business logic resides, and then it can also integrate with your database. For example, let's say we are dealing with the hotel booking app. So when chatbots receives all the information from the user, it needs to be processed. That information needs to be verified or put it into the database, and that task can be done by AWS Lambda. So there are few concepts related to the conversational AIs we will look it into. So let's first go and see the Amazon Lakes interface. So if you go to your AWS console where you can see all the services, you can search for the Amazon Lakes. Here you can see if you click on Amazon Lakes, you can see your all the chatbots that you have built with the Amazon Lex. If you don't have anything or you want to create new, you can click on create bot. You can create a blank bot or you can start with some template, or there are some other ways to create. We will start from the blank bot. We can give some name to our bot. Let's say we can call it as a hotel booking bot. And we can give some description which is optional. And then next thing, the IAM permissions. So whenever you do something in AWS, you need to access some resources. It could be your this Amazon Lake service, your S3 bucket, or even AWS Lambda, which require certain permissions. And those permissions can be attached to particular role. So we're going to create a new role which has all the permissions required to integrate with the Amazon Lakes. And the next thing is related to some children policy, whether this is going to be used by under age 13 children or not. So we will simply do a no. This is an ideal session time when you don't interact with the chatbot. It will consider as an idle session and it will, it will start a new session next time. So after 5 minutes, it will consider it as an idle. We will keep it as a default. When I click on next, you could see you can build language for a particular you can build a chatbot for a particular language. So default language we can say in English, and then whether we want any voice interaction. So for now we will treat it as a text based only, and this is related to the intent classification. So that is also we will treat it as a default value. So once we create an empty chatbot, you will came across this window where we can create the intent. So let's first understand what is intent in the context of conversational AI. So when you interact with any chatbot needs to understand what is the user intent. When that user come to that particular platform, what does that user wants to achieve? For example, if you go to a app or a website which is related to the ordering pizza, then chatbots needs to understand that you come here to order the pizza, or you might have come here to inquiry about your delivery, it is getting delayed. So chatbot needs to understand what is your intent. Similarly, your intent could be booking an hotel, or even if it's, let's say, a banking related chatbot, then your intent could be you want to check your balance, you want to apply for a new loan, or you have some payment issue. These are all the intent that you might have while interact with the chatbot, and chatbot needs to understand those intent so that it can fulfill that particular request. So how does bot will understand that what is your intent? To teach the bot, we have to give a sample utterances, a phrases or a sentence people can use for that particular intent. For example, if you want to define that bot should understand the pizza order intent, then we have to give a sample example that how user can ask for a pizza order or a booking a pizza. So we can give a sample sentences like, can I order pizza, or I want to order pizza, or simply just order pizza. Now these are the sample sentences or utterances we want to give chatbot, so that chatbot understand whenever it will came across such a sentences. We are not saying the same sentences. These are just the example. It will use a natural language processing, and even when it identifies the other similar sentences, it will understand the intent of the user is to order a pizza. So once chatbot understand the intent of the user, to fulfill that intent, it also requires certain information. Let's say the chatbot understand the user intent is the order pizza, then to fulfill that intent, it requires critical information. It wants to know what type of pizza you're looking for. Are you looking for Italian pizza or Mexican pizza? What is the size of the pizza? Are you looking for small, medium, large? So these things, right? The type of the pizza, the size of the pizza, they are the variables, or you can call them slot. And those slots are important to fulfill that particular request. So slots are nothing but the critical information that we want to extract or take from the users to fulfill that particular intent. And we will see in the action what are those slots. And again, slots like a data type. So slot also has a type. So slot here, so when we say that we want to get the pizza size as a slot, then slot type will be have all the possible values for that particular type. So it can have small, medium, large, those are the possible type. If you are dealing with, let's say, a hotel booking website, and we want to know which city user wants to stay, then the city will be a slot, and the slot type will be a city type because it can take any other city. And we will see in the action that what I mean by that. So let's go to again that interface. Once we are familiar with what is intent, what are the slots, and the types of those slots. So what I did, we're going to create the hotel booking chatbot, and all the sentences I required, I just wrote down it here so that I don't waste my time writing those sentences there. So in the hotel booking chatbot, we want to make sure our chatbot understand a book hotel intent. So we name it as a book hotel. So that is the intention, they want to book a hotel. And we have also defined the sample utterances that how will user will ask if they want to book a hotel. They might say that book a hotel, or simply book hotel, or reserve hotel. Oh, okay, something like that they can say. So we will try to create this intent. Let's say we want to create this book hotel intent, and that is the default window you get once you create the empty chatbot. So we can give it the name as a book hotel, and we don't want to give in a description here. Context is something, sometimes this is an advanced setting that you want to attach some conditions with the intent, but we don't want to do that for now. Here we will go directly to the sample utterances, that how does bot will know that someone wants to book a hotel, and we're going to give a sample sentences which you can put here. So let's copy some of the sentences that bot might say that, sorry, a user might say that book a hotel, and I just added that. So this is the list of utterances we have. We will add one more. They might say that I want to make an hotel reservation, and I'm adding that utterance also here. Or let's say user might say this thing, that book a 3 night stay in Mumbai, where they specify the how many days they want to stay in Mumbai. So when you're giving such utterances, to your chatbot to identify this intent. Here you could also indicate what are those critical information present in that utterances, nothing but those slots. So you can select the value which you want to focus, for which you want to store, and that you can indicate that this is some particular type of thing. And you might say that this particular value will be always number. So it's like a pattern for it, that this value will be a number, and this value here, if you double click it here, then it will show you whether you want to tag this particular value as some type of slot. And there are some predefined types Amazon has. You can see Amazon has even city type. It's like an entity recognition, that you could say that this is a city, or it is a country, or it is a date. So there are some predefined types which is already there that we can use. In our case, this particular thing will act as a city. So what we are actually trying to tell a bot, when someone says that book some number of nights stay in some city, so that bot can automatically identify the particular word mentioned here is some type of number which we can attach to something. You can see once we selected here two values, there are two automatically slots got created here, and we need to fill some information to those slots. So if I go here, the slot name it took as a 3, but we know 3 is just one possible value. We want to call it something like nights, the how many nights they want to stay. So we can give this slot a variable name as a like nights, and it will be a number, right? And next thing, we can click whether it is required or not. For now you can just ignore these errors, whatever is coming, right? And then prompt is something that, let's say the bot identify this intent, and now but user didn't provide the number of nights they want to stay, and we also made this thing as a required. So if user didn't provide, how can bot ask it? So that prompt we have to go, what sentence bot should use so that user can enter this particular value. So we can provide something like, so bot can ask user, how many nights will you be staying, so that then you, if user answers something to it, that will get stored into the nights. Similarly, we have other slot type which is Amazon city, and the name, instead of that particular value, we can give it a generic name called location. Similarly, we want to tell bot that you should treat this value as a required value, and then what sentence bot should ask if it wants to get the location if user didn't specify. That is something we can use, that bot might ask this thing. So we have, so let's do one thing. We have those utterance, we can add this thing here, and ideally we wanted to make it night. Okay, this value should be night, this got error. Okay, and this particular thing we wanted to be a location. So now, rather than putting some concrete, some fixed value, we have given a slot pattern, so that whenever such a pattern comes, it understands. And we also told the bot that these two are compulsory thing if they want to fulfill the hotel booking thing, right? So let's save intent, whatever progress we have made till now. So that information has been saved, slot. But we also know that these two are not sufficient. So we just got the location and we got, so we also want to add some more information. And these three samples are enough to know about that it is related to the hotel booking. But we also want more information. So we can click on here, add slot, so that if you want to add to get the more information. So one of the things we want is the check-in date. And then check-in date, we will see is any type which satisfy our date criteria. So Amazon has a date type, so it makes sure this particular value is a date. And again, how should I ask that if bot wants to get the date variable? So we can ask something like that, what day do you want to check in, and I will click and add. Now next thing, we also want to take a room type from the user. If they want to book an hotel, they have given the, let's say, location, they have given the booking date, but we also want to know the room type. So we have our custom type. Now this particular type might not Amazon has. So if I click on here, so there won't be any type which satisfy our criteria, which describe the room type. It means this is our custom type, and we can create that custom type. So if we go back to the, let's first save the intent, whatever intent we have created till point. We can go back to our intent list, and we can see here left side there is something called slot types also. If you click on slot type, we can create our own slot type. So let's create a new slot type, and we will call it as a room type. And there are, whether this particular slot, we have to give some possible values to it, what possible values it can take. So it asks whether you want to only restrict to those values, or even it can use some natural language processing and expand to other values which look similar to what we have. So we can keep it expand, so, or we can keep it as a restricted to particular values. We can put it as an expand, so if they make it some capital case, smaller case, still we should be able to identify those values. So we will put that the room type will be, it could be have this value, type queen or a king or a deluxe. These are the possible values that we want this particular thing should have. So any type, when we will select the room type, bot make sure that it has these three types of values. So let's save this slot so that we could use that slot again. Now go back to our intent list because we want to add that slot. We can see our intent here, book hotel intent. We click there again, and let's go to slot, and let's add that one more slot that we want. So we want to also take room type. And we know we have created a custom type, so make sure this particular variable value room type will be one of them. And how we going to ask it? We're just going to ask what type of room they want, and we will give them choices that this is what we have. Okay, this way we have given all the sentences or utterances that we could give. We could add more. If you see that the bot is not able to recognize few of the sentences, we could always add those sentences here. But for now we will go with these three sentences, which is enough to tell bot what kind of intent user might have. And then we also tell that let's make it sure that they are compulsory, so that bot knows that they are compulsory and it will keep asking them. Okay, we have saved. Let's click on the save intent. Now intent got saved. Once you have created the intent and slot, and if you want to test your bot, you can first click on build. So it will start building our app, whatever information we have given till point. Okay, we can see it has successfully built a bot for a language English, and we can see the name of the bot. Since bot is there, we can test it. If you click on test, this window will open where we can chat. So this is the chatbot development window, and we can type, let's say book hotel. Now, since it is able to identify that it is book hotel, then it also knows what are information required to satisfy that hotel, because we have put some of the slots, the required information as required. So it started asking how many nights will you be staying. So we can say, okay, we will be staying 3 nights. So it identified that. Now it asks us the second question, because we have given the prompt to ask those questions. So now it is asking for a city, and let's say I say Mumbai. Now it asks the remaining slots. Now it is asking, the day you want to check in. So let's make it like some date. Okay. Now it is asking what type of room, and we can say that, let's say king. Now you can see when it find out that all the information required for that particular intent is satisfied, because we have given all the information, then it says that intent book hotel is fulfilled. Now it got all the information that needs to be done. So this is how bot works. Let's go back to our, let's close this window and go back to our slots, right? So instead of first nights, we should ask first location. So let's change their order, that it should first ask location, then how many nights, then check-in date and the room type, right? That we want it should do. Yeah. And also we can see some conversation flow here. Whatever information we have given, it will generate the conversation flow. Let's click here. So it says that if we ask book a hotel, the next thing it's going to ask now what city you will be staying, and then it will take a input of type city. Next, how many nights will you be staying, then it is expecting a number. And the next required slot is check-in date, and it is expecting a date, and then the room type. And once you given something, then you see it still have some way to process. For example, it has something called confirmation prompt. When user gives all the information, do you want to confirm it first from the user? So that is the confirmation prompt that we can add. And if I click here, it will take you to the position. So where we had a slots, right? We also have other configuration where we can put the things like, how do we want to confirm from the bot? So this is related to the prompts to confirm the intent. So we can put our message here, which will be shown to the user before we place our order. So that's something we can put here. So we can put something meaningful. Let's say this is what the confirmation prompt we want to put here. And we can put some decline message also, because just like confirmation, you want what if they decline the thing. Now if you look at this thing, it's a dynamic, it's not a static text. We are saying that, okay, I have you down for a night. So instead of using some static value, we have used that nights variable. Here we have used location variable, and here we have used check-in variable. So that makes chat more dynamic. So whatever values chatbot receive for those slots, we will show those same values, and we will ask user to confirm it. So let's save it and test again our bot now. Let's start now building bot. Since we have made some changes, it started building. Now bot has been successfully built. Let's test it. Let's type again book hotel. Now it asks for first city or location, because we changed the order of the slots. Let's say that we want to stay in Pune, and how many nights you will be staying. Let's say XYZ nights. And if you see, it is not taking that answer XYZ, because the slot knows that it is expecting some number there. And that is why, and since we also make it a compulsory field, till it gets the satisfactory answer, it's going to keep you asking. That is the benefit of slot. So when you make sure that you tell that this is a required information, it will keep asking until you give. So let me give the correct answer, the 5. Now it says what date do you want to check in, and then we can, now let's enter the date in a different format. Let's start with this. Okay, once it has a date, now it is asking some room time. Let's give some wrong answer here. Okay, it took that wrong answer, because we have, what you call, we have expanded those values. We will check. Okay, I have you down for a 5-night stay in Pune starting on this. Shall I book the reservation? Let's say yes. And it says that now intent hotel is fulfilled. Let's go and check this thing, that why did it take ABC. Let me close this window, and let's go to the slot type. I guess let's go to the slot type. Let's go to slot type and room type. Let's restrict those values, that it should have only one of those values. And we can also give some other possible values here, but let's see whether it's not going to restrict only these three values. Save a slot, right? And let's go back to previous window. Let's click on intents, go to our intent, and let's change one more thing here in the conversation. Now we also have the confirmation prompt. We also want to add something for fulfillment. Rather than default message, we can simply say thank you or something. Let's say not before success response. So we have fulfillment updates, whether if that fulfillment is going to take some time, so we can put that what is the starting message we want, what is in the progress, but we can put our direct success message here because it's just going to be successful in a few seconds, right? Let's put it as a thank you and we'll see a success response here. Some variations also we can put, but let's have one only. Let's confirm one more time that whether we have a thank you message here, and let's save the intent and we will try again. Let's build it again because we have made some changes. Okay, bot has built successfully. Let's test it again. Let's call it as in book hotel, and let's do it quickly. Put some number, some date. Okay, this is where we wanted to check because last time we put some random value and it took. Now let's put that random value again. Okay, now it is not taking because we have selected a wrong thing. So we wanted to restrict to the given values. Either it will be queen, king, and tail. So that is the reason. Let's select only one of them. Okay, now it put that all the information that 3 nights stay in Mumbai, because in a fulfillment we make sure while confirming we put the slot values dynamically here, and let's confirm it as a S. And then our final message came, which we just put a thank you. This is how we could build a chatbot using Amazon Lex, where we have to specify first intent, right? We have to specify first intent, and to identify that intent, we have to use some sample utterances so that it knows, and it will use the natural language processing under the hood to learn from these sample examples. And whenever user puts something, it will try to match with an intent. And once it identifies the particular intent, it also knows that it required to extract some information from the user, which we call slots, and we can make them compulsory. And if user haven't given those slots, we have a provision to ask user for those slots. So we can give a prompt what statement the bot should use so that it can take that input from the user. And each slot has some type. Some of the slots are generic and already available in the Amazon slot. So for example, if you want to accept any location, number, date, those are the data types or the slot types are already there. But we also saw sometimes we have a slot value, which is the room type, which has a particular combination of values that Amazon won't be having. So we can create our custom slot and then we can use that slot type here. And we can restrict the user should enter only one of these things. And when it successfully enters all the information, the bots understand and it asks for the confirmation with those dynamic values. And when user confirm, we give the final thank you message. Now, this process, we only look at identifying the user intent and getting that required information from the user. But we haven't done any processing or the post processing on that request. Now we got a order from the user that they want to stay here for this thing. But then how do we make those backend changes? How do we make those business logic changes? The first thing we should have checked whether this particular state is available or not. If it is available, we have to make those changes into the backend somewhere, right? That's how the functional chatbot we can build. So we just look at the Amazon Lakes, how it interacts with the user, understand user intent, get the desired information from the user. But then this is not sufficient. To make it fully functional, we need to connect our Amazon Lakes to the other components or other services of the AWS, such that the AWS Lambda, where we can put our logic. So let's say in the case of hotel booking, whenever user enters something, we can pass that information for AWS Lambda to verify those information, to validate those values. And when the booking is confirmed, AWS Lambda can put that booking information inside the DynamoDB. So in the next video, we're going to see how can we connect our Amazon Lex to the AWS Lambda and make it more functional. I hope you find this video useful. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I will be creating the similar videos related to the natural language processing, like building the conversational AI chatbot or building a NLP models using the Hugging Face transformer, Spacey, Gensim, etc.